Hey everyone, welcome back to the Thundertron podcast. So today I'm discussing and giving my thoughts on all the reveals from the Transformers Tuesday fan stream or live stream that just happened today. I do have to say the live stream or fan stream wasn't as interesting as some of the previous live stream we've had this year so far in 2023. There was a whole live stream at PulseCon where we had the entire official reveal of Legacy United Wave 1. There was actually one recently where we had the next Commander class revealed. Those are probably more interesting to me personally, but I'm actually still pretty interested to see how this line is going to play out and turn up, like how many figures they're gonna do. And I was actually pretty interested to see the approach and the designs they were gonna come up with for these characters. But if you're wondering what line I'm discussing mostly for the most part of this video, it's actually the Transformers Reactivate line, which I think I already did do a short video a while ago, I think a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month, discussing one of these two packs. So one of the two packs I probably won't spend as much time as the other one, because as I just said, I think I briefly talked about that and mentioned it before it was actually up for pre-order. So I'll just do kind of an update on that pack, of course, to give the solid information now, because of course, as of the time recording that segment, I didn't have the price or release date, but one of them I'll definitely have more to the center of attention, because I never mentioned that one before now. But if you don't know, Transformers Reactivate is going to be based off a Transformers Reactivate video game, which is kind of at a standstill right now. We really don't know when it's going to be released or any updates on it. Like, we had a very brief trailer quite a while ago, I think like the beginning of 2023, maybe even before. I do remember seeing, I can't remember when they posted it, but I do know it's been quite a while. And since they posted that trailer or that footage, we've had no other update of price, gameplay footage, nothing. So I guess they're just working on it. I'm assuming it's still happening, because I don't think they would be releasing these figures if the game was canceled, or they could be. We really don't know. I do have to add one side note before we get into my thoughts on these figures. Of course, first off, please leave your thoughts on these figures in the comment section down below. I really would like to know what you think of them. Which ones will you be getting and which ones will you be passing on? But the second side note is actually pretty interesting. They did confirm that they will be doing another live stream or fan stream in December. They didn't say particularly when. It could be the very beginning, it could be towards the middle or the end. We'll really just have to wait and see. But I'm actually pretty interested to see what that live stream is going to show us. They did already say a part of that live stream is actually them going to be talking about their favorite figures that they have revealed this year in 2023, which I think is pretty interesting, because I don't think they've done that at all before in past years of Transformers. So I think that's pretty cool. But maybe we'll actually get some Legacy United reveals, like possibly the Titan class. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool, but we'll just have to wait and see about that. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I just have to say now, they said absolutely nothing about Legacy United being at that live stream. But of course, since we just had the entire wave of Stu series for 2024 revealed, that first wave, one would assume they would probably go back to Legacy United and do the second wave, or maybe part of the second wave, like the Titan class or something like that. We'll just have to wait and see. But getting into the figures, definitely the more interesting to me of the two packs. Here we have the Transformers Reactivate Optimus Prime and Soundwave 2 packs. So since this is Reactivate, not in the Stu series or Legacy United, Legacy Evolution kind of bracket, or series, they technically don't have a class that I know of yet. There is no new class they have made up of or put on the box. Maybe there's one floating around there, because I do know there's tons of names that they have used over the years, like Legends class, there's been like Scout class, Legions class. We really don't know, but if I were to put that in the typical class size that we usually see with the most figures we get right now, I'd say probably both these figures are about Voyager class to very tall deluxe. There's some deluxes like 86 Hot Rod that are so close to a Voyager, you're like, okay, come on, just call it a Voyager, But I have to say, this looks pretty cool. Just getting into the basic information, of course, the release date is February 1st, 2024, and of course, the price is $63. So it's pretty expensive, but you do have to keep in mind, it's two figures, and from the description and the video that we saw, of course, the live stream, because they did have these figures in hand, they do seem about Voyager size. So, of course, typically a Voyager is about $35, not including tax and shipping. So I'd say that's pretty close for what it's supposed to be. I do expect probably Optimus to be on the bigger side. I probably think he's going to be more Voyager size, and maybe Soundwave will be, a bit more big deluxe rather than Voyager. But getting into my thoughts, this is actually a very interesting pack, because for a while now we had a lot of images and a lot of talk about Optimus, but up until this point we had nothing on Soundwave. So it was a really, kind of a guessing game, a waiting game. We were like, okay, what is he going to look like? What is he going to look like? Because we had to reveal all the images of the Bumblebee Starscream one, so we were just waiting on that Soundwave, and here he is. And I don't want to sound like a bummer or a bearer of bad news, I don't want to sound too harsh, but the Soundwave is actually really disappointing. I actually checked Instagram, and a few other of my YouTuber buddies and Transformer buddies actually feel the exact same way. I was wondering when I first saw this, maybe I'm just being too picky, but there's quite a few people, quite a few of my YouTuber buddies and Transformer buddies think the same thing. They think it doesn't look very good. I don't know, it's hard to describe. I just think the proportions are just so off. Like, his arms seem really skinny and short, his legs seem super chunky and long, and his chest seems small in size, but of course really bulky and chunky in proportion. So it's just all really off, and the head I think is too small. That being said, the design, the actual, appearance, like the overall, technique, or kind of the way they actually went for this Soundwave actually looks pretty cool. I do have to say one thing though about the design, the overall paint apps, like this Reactivate Soundwave that they went with, looks pretty cool, but the chest seems rather bare and boring to me. Like, he has the Decepticon symbol, but I think it would have been cool if he had a bit more damage or paint on him, because this is supposed to be based off the video game, and from what I can tell, it's supposed to be in the ruins of a city. I'm not sure if they said what city. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be New York, Chicago, something like that. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be in the ruins of Earth, in a city. It's supposed to be very destructive. They actually do say in the description of both these two packs, post-apocalyptic, so it's supposed to be very destroyed, very damaged. So I think it would have been nice if they put a bit of battle damage on that chest. I think that would have looked really cool. I'm actually kind of thinking of the Siege Soundwave, that Voyager class figure that was of course very war-torn battle damage, and they actually had some really cool kind of paint scratching detailing on that. I thought that looked really good, so it would have been nice if they had done that same technique with this figure. And his accessories are the typical, shoulder cannon, and I'm pretty sure it's a concussion blaster, which is pretty cool. I think the Soundwave is just okay. Of all 4 figures that were released today, in the 2 packs, definitely my least favorite, which is unfortunate, because I was actually really wanting to like this. I was really wanting to, want this. I still will get this pack, because I think the Optimus Prime looks freaking amazing, but it is a bit disappointing when you get a 2-pack, and one of the figures just falls short. You just get disappointed, because you're like, well, should I really buy a 2-pack if I only want one of the figures? Should I just give it up? It's a bit disappointing. So would it be nice? It really seems like that they spent a lot of attention on Optimus, which is fine. Typically, I think they do that. It's Optimus, of course, but it would have been nice if they put the same level of attention on him on Soundwave, because he does seem kind of like a last minute thought. There's just a few things where I'm like, why would they do that? Just the overall appearance just isn't working for me. But I do have to say, of course, I could like this way more once I get in person. There is quite a few times where I'll see some images of, Stu Series, Legacy Evolution, where I'm like, okay, that looks really bad. But then I'll get in person, I'm like, wow, this is an amazing figure. Truth be told, a very good example is when they first posted Battle Trap from Stu Series Rise of the Beast. The first images, I was like, I'm not really liking it, but when I got him, he's probably one of my favorite Stu Series Voyager class figures ever. Of course, that being said, I don't own that many Stu Series figures, but that I've seen and I have in hand, he's probably one of my favorite Voyager class figures. So the bottom line is, my opinion could change completely, or it could stay the same. It's really just once I get in hand, of course, I'll make that final judgment. I will be getting this pack, but I'm definitely at the moment looking forward to Optimus Prime much more. But Optimus Prime looks so cool. I probably won't spend that much time on him because, of course, images have been floating around about him for weeks now, so really no surprise here. But he does come with 3 accessories: a Matrix, an axe, and his typical, black blaster, which is pretty cool. I do like all the really nice, classic red and blue and silver, and the head sculpt looks really cool. I think the proportions are way better on this figure than the Soundwave. I don't even know what was happening with Soundwave. I don't know who designed him. Of course, no offense to whoever made him. It just seems like, I don't know what they were thinking. It just looks so off to me, but it actually looks really sleek, really compact. I think this Optimus probably could be a contender with Earthrise Optimus Prime. Earthrise Optimus Prime has been kind of, at that top spot of Optimus Prime figures, a Geo and Optimus, like probably one of the best modern day Optimus Prime figures. This probably could be in that spot, or maybe even beat it, because it just looks so good. I actually do have to talk about the steps, because there's actually quite a bit of steps for Optimus Prime. He transforms in 37 steps. That's actually quite a bit. I mean, I do know he's about Voyager size from what we've seen and heard, but typically Voyagers are, I would say, probably in the, 18 to around 25 step range. 37, that's like, leader and commander class. Like, that's pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty sure commander class Ultra Magnus, I'm pretty sure he's like 42 or something, so it's really not that far off. So very impressive. Soundwave is only 15 steps. As I said, I think he probably will be on the smaller side, probably not as big as Optimus, which is fine, because, Optimus in most continuities, he's been a pretty, big, bulky bot in comparison to a lot of characters. He's usually towers over most characters in most series and shows, so I think that makes sense. And actually, they did say, just keeping on, the topic of steps, during the live stream, they actually did say a lot of these transformations for, Soundwave, Optimus, and the other 2-pack, the other characters, the other figures, Bumblebee and Starscream, they did say the transformation actually will be quite complex, but they did say not to a point, of course, where you're going to be, bored or mad, and get tired of doing it. They're just saying it's going to be kind of involving, a bit more intricate, but it won't be hard, of course, where you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. So I think that's actually pretty cool. I'm glad. It seems like they're deliberately taking an approach to make it more complex, which I'm all for. I actually think that's pretty cool. And getting into their alt modes, I actually have to say they both look pretty good. I think this is one of the very rare situations where I actually probably prefer Soundwave's robot mode more. I mean, his alt mode more than his robot mode. Typically, I do prefer the robot mode of pretty much any figure over the alt, but this is actually one of those very rare situations. I actually think it looks pretty cool. Of course, they could not do his cassette player boombox because, of course, they're kind of in a battlefield and he really can't move that fast in a boombox. He couldn't move it all, so they had to kind of scrap that. I guess if they wanted to, they could have done a triple changer, but I was never really expecting that. But I do like it. It's kind of a sort of a Doom buggy kind of Jeep vibe to it. I do like all of the panels. It does seem very kind of war-torn, sort of military style, which is pretty cool. I do love the big, beefy tires. Definitely really adds that, kind of war-torn feel to it. And of course, the blasters can store on top. I think that's a nice touch. I think that's pretty cool. That's all I really have. Really no complaints with the alt mode. I'm perfectly fine with it. As for Optimus Prime's truck alt mode, again, there's been images of him floating around for a while, so no surprises here. We kind of are like, there it is, finally it's officially revealed. It's really just a matter of time, but I do like the truck mode. I actually think it looks really cool. I do love the brushwork, the dirty, kind of grime and dirt, kind of paint chipping detailing on the front grille section, which of course, I know a lot of people had a problem with how they did that in Siege, so if you don't like that, I'm not sure if this line is going to be for you, because I think the whole brushing, dirt, grime effect is kind of probably going to be a major, sort of technique or feature a part of this line. That being said, of the images we have, I've seen none of that on Soundwave, so maybe they're just going to do like, every other figure. Like, maybe if they're going to keep doing these 2-packs, I might just have one figure have that, and the other one not as much, or maybe none. We'll just have to wait and see. I actually like liked it on Siege. Of course, I don't want every single one of my figure having that dirt grime effect, but, you know, if one line has it, I actually think it's pretty cool. I think it looks really good on an Optimus. I do hope it looks as good, you know, on the image as in person, because I do have to admit there was some figures a part of Siege and other lines that did the dirt grime effect, but once you got in hand, it didn't look as good. So hopefully it looks as good as I'm seeing it right now. But I do like the truck, I do like the bright red, the blue, all the weapons can store on the back, which is pretty cool. I'm assuming the axe, it doesn't show specifically where, but I'm assuming it can probably store like on the truck bed or something, but it does show the cannon storing on the side of the truck, as you would expect. And as for the packaging, they actually did say specifically in the live stream they will be bringing back the plastic windows, which is fine and all. I'm not going to get into, you know, some huge debate of whether I want them or not. I think that's fine, you know, it's good. I do have to, you know, understand some people like to keep the figures in the boxes, you know, and it can be annoying if there's no plastic window. So, of course, dust can get in there. You know, you might lose something. Maybe if you're getting it from inside a store, someone could steal something. It could get damaged. So I 100% agree there is quite a few points, you know, to have the plastic window, but also you do have to think about the environment. It definitely is more environmentally friendly to have no plastic window, so it's kind of a tough spot. I agree with both sides, but personally me, it really doesn't affect me because of course I take the figures out of the box like 99% of the time, and usually I throw away the box, so it really doesn't affect me either way, or I recycle it. So I'm just gonna say that. But the front of the box actually looks pretty cool. I do like the images of Soundwave and Optimus. What's actually really cool is above those product shots, they actually do have the actual, you know, render, the game render of those characters, like, you know, how they're supposed to appear in the game, of course. That's what we can assume, you know, as I mentioned, we've seen, like, no gameplay, so, you know, this is really all we have right now of what they're gonna look like in that game, so we'll just have to wait and see. But that's kind of a cool little Easter egg, you know, sneak peek. I do like that. And it's kind of nice how you can actually see both figures in their, like, their robot mode and their accessories. So you can kind of look in there, you know, make sure there's nothing missing or wrong or, you know, broken. So I think that's a nice option. And on the back, I do like the really cool kind of Cybertronian, very futuristic look in the background. And of course, we do have product shots of both figures and their steps, which I already did mention. You know, Optimus is 37, Soundwave is 15. And there's actually a few very small images taken from the video game. Of course, we don't really know if that's exactly what it's going to look like, because of course those are just like images or renders taken from that game. Those could be from cutscenes, or they could have just kind of come up with those as fast as they could. It's probably just put there just to kind of give you somewhat of an idea of what it's going to turn out like, because they did say, although the release date says February on both of these, they did say they should be getting to us by the end of 2023, which is pretty soon. I mean, we're in November, so you know, and I don't think the game is going to come out probably anytime soon. So I'm just saying now because I've seen a lot of posts and a lot of talk on social media about these images, and it's cool that they put them. But of course, this could be, you know, very different from how it actually turns out, or it could be the same. We'll just have to wait and see. Because, you know, there is no release date. They could change a lot of things. You know, they might have to remake some stuff. They might change the design of the characters or the look of the game. You know, it's really up in the air right now. But, yeah, I really like this 2-pack. I think it's pretty cool. But now moving on to the next one. I'm going to briefly talk about this one because I already did do a pretty short segment discussing the Bumblebee Starscream 2-pack before. But that was before, you know, we had the, you know, good images, the solid release date, the solid, you know, price. So really just kind of a, you know, an update overview of that and kind of give my, you know, added thoughts. Because I actually have changed my mind about a few of, you know, aspects of these figures. This is the Transformers Reactivate Bumblebee and Starscream, so I think probably they're actually going to be about, you know, Big Voyager or Small Deluxe. They're going to be probably all in the same scale. It's what it seems like. and the price is $63. And as for the steps, it says Bumblebee transforms in 20 steps and Starscream transforms in 25. So about the same. That's typically what a Voyager is. But I have to say they look pretty cool. You know, again, it does say February 1st, but they repeatedly said in the live stream they will probably come this year. So if you're kind of bummed by how far away that is, don't be, because it seems like that actually won't actually happen. It will come a lot sooner. But getting into my updated thoughts, if you watch that segment, you know I actually do quite like the Bumblebee, and I still do. I think he looks really good, 100% buying this. And I actually have to say, before, if you watch that segment, I wasn't too happy about Starscream. I actually think I changed my mind. I think it was maybe just the images we had at the time I wasn't a fan of. I still probably like Bumblebee and Optimus more than Starscream. I think he's probably in 3rd place, Soundwave being in 4th place. I still do like him more than I used to. I used to not really like him at all. I was actually almost to the point where I was like, I'm not even going to buy the Bumblebee Starscream 2-pack. But I've changed my mind. I actually think he's a pretty solid figure. I do like the mismatch design. I think that's pretty cool. There's some really nice circuitry detailing on both the figures. I do like the null ray kind of form accessories, and Bumblebee has these really cool kind of mini pistols. And I love how different Bumblebee is. He turns into a really cool kind of doom buggy, you know, but we're used to seeing Bumblebee, you know, turn into that cutesy small little, you know, bug car, you know, the Volkswagen bug. So it's a very different design and thing they're gonna go for this figure. And on that topic, I think they probably should have tried to change Starscream up a bit more, because yes, he does turn into a jet. He always turns into a jet, but maybe they could have had it a bit different, like an armored jet. Like they could have had like armor panels on there, or like, you know, maybe some like weapons, like, you know, package or backpack on the top, or like huge cannons. Maybe something a bit different, you know, because Bumblebee, you know, he used to be that small little Volkswagen bug, but now he's this huge, you know, beefy muscle car, you know, Jeep. And yes, Optimus turns into his truck, but it's definitely a bit more armored, you know, war-torn, battle-ready, not that typical Earth-based one we're used to seeing. And Soundwave too, you know, they completely changed that, you know, cassette tape into that really cool car. So it would have been nice if they had continued with that with the jet. I do like the jet. It's a cool jet. I just think for, you know, the line that he's in and the game he's supposed to be from, they probably could have made it a bit, you know, more accurate or look a bit better. But yeah, I actually have changed my mind. I think he's pretty solid. I guess maybe it was just the images at the time. I don't know. And that could happen with Soundwave as well. I could get him in hand and I'm like, wow, this is an amazing figure. But that is pretty much it for the live stream news. As I said at the beginning of this segment, there wasn't, you know, a lot of reveals. I do have to say one thing. They did kind of go over the Stu Series reveals kind of one more time. They, at the time, of course, when they revealed them, that was at London Comic-Con, and of course they never live streamed it, so really the only way you could see them, you know, a good view or in hand was to go there, and a lot of people couldn't, so they kind of did it again for the US fans on live stream, and they actually had them in hand. They weren't just, you know, product images. I actually think that's how it was at London Comic-Con. I don't think they had all of those in hand. I think maybe some, but for this they had all of them in hand so we could see them properly, which is nice, but really nothing to report. You know, they just kind of added their own personal thoughts, but I really have, you know, no news or any thoughts to add on those figures because I already did a video on that, but I just wanted to let you know that. But I hope you enjoyed this Thundertron podcast segment. Let me know think of these two packs in the comment section down below. Do you agree with my thoughts? Do you like how Soundwave looks, or are you kind of like me where you're like, doesn't look that good? Which 2 packs are you going to get? Are you going to get both of them, or are you going to pass on one, or maybe pass on both? Just let me know your thoughts on this whole overall Transformers Reactivate line. Like, it's actually pretty exciting, you know, because this is the start of a brand new line, and that doesn't happen all that often. So it's pretty interesting to see, you know, what direction they're gonna go for these figures. You know, it's kind of a, you know, really makes the collector or you know, us the fans, it kind of makes us decide, you know, are we gonna do this? Like, am I gonna collect this whole line, or am I gonna not? Because of those first few figures, you know, it's a pretty important way to advertise a product. You know, you have to really wow at the start of a line to really, you know, reel them in and make them interested. But I'm definitely interested, so we'll just have to wait and see what other figures they're gonna come out out with, but I'll see you next time.